is here. Dragon Angel.
He's also suffering from anal bleeding.
What?
Is this match still going on? The dog poop! A right ball and a dog poop!
Mercifully, it's over.
Hello and welcome to the Crap Wrestling Podcast, a podcast all about crap wrestling, which is also a crap podcast about wrestling. I am one of your hosts, Matt Burgess, and I am joined by the only penguin that has ever taken me for breakfast. It's Weston Hughes. How are you, Weston?
Good, thanks. It was a nice breakfast as well, wasn't it?
It was a good breakfast, yeah.
Although I didn't eat it at the place, I got a takeaway for some issues, but I ate it in the end, and it was nice.
It was a good boy, finished his breakfast.
It was nice. It was a nice breakfast. I didn't actually finish it. I left half the egg and I left the toast as well. You don't even like eggs. You didn't have any. At least I had half of one.
You said you finished it though.
Sorry.
I was sat by Weston and I was watching him eating.
Yeah.
One more mouthful.
One more mouthful.
When he wasn't, I actually got the fork. I was like, here comes the aeroplane.
Yeah. I'm glad to be back. It feels like it's been fucking ages, to be fair, doesn't it?
It has been a while. I went on
Couple of
holiday and
weeks.
stuff, yeah. So, tell us, Weston, do you have one crap wrestling match that you've watched over the last couple of weeks?
No, not really. I actually genuinely haven't. I've been watching quite a bit of good wrestling over the couple of weeks.
Go on, give us one good wrestling match.
We was just talking about it off record. It was on the NJPW stream thing. They put these matches on from the 70s that are really, really old, and then they've dubbed them with new commentary. Antonio Inoki's in both of them. One of them's got Lou Thez in, and they're really, really good. That's what I've been watching a lot of that. I've been watching a lot of old Van Vader because my mate Rob has recommended a few of them to me because he's big into Japanese stuff as well. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Japanese stuff. It's weird with Japanese commentary. Some of them haven't got English commentary at all. Obviously, I can't understand it, but it's just the commentary's sort of different.
Tell us a bit about this Inoki Fez match because I was really interested in what you were saying.
Yeah, so the one with Lou Thez in it, it's a tag team match, and I can't remember for the life of me who his tag team partner is, and it's Antonio Inoki. It's two Japanese guys who are NJPW versus two American guys. I think it's 1972. I may be wrong. It's in the 70s though, 100%. It's in MSG as well, I think. And there's not many wrestling moves as you would think of wrestling moves. It's not bumps and spots. It is very, very mat-based strikes, but it is still very, very good to watch. And one of the only moves in the whole match is the finish, which is a tiger suplex. And it's about 20 minutes long, so it's a long match considering there's no fucking moves in it or anything. They don't go out of the ring at all. Nothing leaves the mat, and it's incredible to watch. And I honestly think if I went back in time to the territory days and there was no new stuff, I could watch that and I wouldn't want for anything different.
Sure.
Honestly, I can imagine there's bad matches like that are boring, but the ones that I've seen, you know, Lou Thez is just famous, isn't he? And Antonio Inoki and all these, mate, they're so fucking good. They're so good. And it makes me think of like, so you look at like Ric Flair, just for instance, because he was wrestling during this time, wasn't he? Or Jerry the King Lawler, like he was wrestling during this time.
Yeah.
They could probably still wrestle now.
Yeah.
They could have a match now. I'm not saying it'd be great, they're old men, but they could. You look at like Kenny Omega. Do you think he's going to be wrestling when he's 70? Do you think he's going to have the ability to have a match when he's 70?
Too many bumps.
Of course. It's too many months. He ain't going to be able to fucking walk when he's 70, is he really? Like, and that's no slight on him. That's not my opinion on him saying he's good or bad or anything, but it's just the way it is. Their style of wrestling obviously took a lot less toll on the body. It was a lot better for them. And you don't need to fucking break your body and smash your head in to be impressive and have a good match. You really don't, because I'll show you these matches and you will enjoy them. They're fucking brilliant.
I suppose that if you don't have the storytelling techniques, that maybe you do still have the technique, but if you don't have the facials, the ability to build momentum and all of that sort of stuff, that those matches could get really, really boring. But when you've got two masters of the game, and obviously I don't know a huge amount about Lou Thez, I know a bit about Inoki from what people have told me, I haven't watched anything that he's done, but two masters of the game who just can build momentum and create a story just using the facials and the mat-based wrestling and the chain wrestling and lock-ups and all of that sort of thing. And I've seen it done in American wrestling, and Lawler's a really good example. The man's a fucking knob, but his heel wrestling is just like, oh right, well that's how it worked in the old days. It makes total sense. So yeah, I mean I'd be really interested to watch that just to see what it's like.
Yeah, I'll give you my login and you can watch them tonight. The 90s stuff as well with Vader and stuff like that, when NJPW was pretty much like mostly Japanese with just a couple of foreigners, and they're really good. But what I was going to say is about these matches as well, because there's no story going into these. You know nothing. There's no promos. There's no vignettes. There's nothing. Hype package. So you go into this match, and in this match, it just goes ding, ding, ding. Right, we're going. And within 30 seconds, you know who the babyface is, who the heel is.
Amazing.
Like, you know who you want to win and who you want to lose. Because say if I just went on Raw and tuned in randomly on a Monday night now, and it was in the middle of a match, you wouldn't know who was who, would you? You wouldn't know why they were fighting, who's the babyface, who's the heel. In that, it's literally just like, within 30 seconds of the bell going, you know who's the babyface and who's the heel, knowing no backstory at all.
Yeah, you know I'm Raw because they do some cheap heat shit like go, don't you think the Green Bay Packers suck?
Oh god, yeah, of course, yeah. But if you watched a Now match, ding, 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 bell goes, you would not know who the baby face and who the heel is, would you? It'd just be two geezers doing front flips.
Let me guess, there's some stupid Red Sox fans in here. Boo!
Yeah, you know, white trash.
I'm back to Steiner again. Yeah, really interesting to see that, definitely. My good match was MJF versus CM Punk. Are you happy for me to talk about that, or are you planning to watch it?
No, go on, mate.
MJF, obviously massive heel, probably the best heel in the game today.
I really, really like him.
Incredible promo, so good, so young as well. And then of course you've got CM Punk, who's been babyface since he's been in AEW, because you know he's a massive star. He's enormous, and everyone was desperate for him to come back. I was never really a fan of his, not because I didn't like him, but because I didn't really know of him, because he was wrestling in a period that I didn't really know too much about or watch. But he's been babyface there. MJF was doing all the tricks in the book. He wore him down, he was working on his arm, then he was working on his knee, he choked him out using his wrist tape, and then the referee realised after the bell was rung, and he got the match reinstated, so everyone was booing, and it was like, he's got another chance, brilliant. And then of course with the knee, and there was a couple of spots where you were thinking that Punk was going to get MJF up into the go sleep, and the knee kept collapsing, but the way that the crowd were just reacting to the moments when he got him on his shoulders, you were like, fuck, I'm watching one of the most over moments where you're just thinking, he's going to hit it, he's going to hit this go sleep, and it's going to be over. I haven't seen that in years in wrestling. I suppose when you're watching Paige Kenny and you're like, is he going to hit the buckshot, but building to that momentum where the finisher might hit just feels like something of a bygone era.
It's like when you see Triple H getting someone in the pedigree, doesn't it? And you're like, no, and then they'll fucking like backdrop him or something. And you're like, yes, like fucking. Yeah,
exactly like that. You're like, fuck, please don't hit the plate. And as soon as it's a sign, you're just like, oh, it's done. Yeah. Finishers don't finish matches anymore, though, innit? I suppose. But obviously, if that go to sleep is very protected and it does still finish matches, that's why people feel. Again, back into this match as well. Maybe this is the moment to actually start speaking about the match that we're here to talk about today. I was going to say quick, about this CM Punk versus MJF. Like, obviously, CM Punk is a fucking massive megastar. But watching him wrestle, and he's a personality, isn't he? His promos are wicked and stuff. I don't feel like his star power fits his ability level. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just think he's good, but he's not like fucking Ric Flair or Shawn Michaels, is he? Yeah, I'm totally with you on that one. I wonder if there might be a little bit of it, and if any Punk fans listen to this, I might get a bit of flack for it. But again, I've not watched loads of his matches, but I wonder if it was just because the way that he got over in his run in WWE, but he just never got any of the breaks. So even when he was the title holder, he didn't get the main event of WrestleMania. No, he got fucked over bad when Summer of Punk was fucking awful, wasn't it? Yeah, that he became the guy that was just like, well, I support CM Punk and I don't support WWE, that maybe that caused this kind of disparity between ability and overness. Yeah. But I don't have much evidence for that idea. It's just one of the possible ways that it went about it. I mean, I think that all of his matches in AEW up until this one were pretty mediocre. I think they're okay. Yeah, they're not bad. You're not going to watch a Punk match going away going, oh, that was fucking shit. But exactly. He's not like getting 5-star matches a lot, is he? Has he ever had a 5-star match? It's hard to use that really, because obviously, as we've said before, WWE never get 5-star matches. You know what I mean though, don't you? It's I've seen a really good match of his against Undertaker. It was quite good at WrestleMania. He was good in Ring of Honor, wasn't he? Obviously not that I've seen a lot of it, but I've heard a lot of people saying that he was good in Ring of Honor and stuff. Yeah. He took the Ring of Honor title to WWE and signed the contract on the title. That's a serious fucking heel move. I like that a lot. So which is
basically exactly the same as what he was doing in WWE with the title, wasn't it? Like, just threatening to leave and stuff. So.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a really, really good match, especially with the loss, and then it comes back, and then eventually MJF, and a massive win for MJF as well.
You know when Randy Orton was doing the whole Legend Killer stuff? Obviously it's not the same, but it's sort of fairly reminiscent of... He's beaten a lot of fucking big names,
Absolutely.
a lot of legends, and doing it quite well. And he's not doing it as a babyface like John Cena come up, is it? It's like they're complete opposites. So I really like MJF. I think he's fucking brilliant.
I think he's got a big career ahead of him.
He's a breath of fresh air in modern wrestling.
Definitely, when especially in the PG era.
Yeah, of course.
But, yeah, he definitely crosses those boundaries. I love it. So today's match is The Fiend versus Seth Rollins at Hell in a Cell 2019, and I have been so excited to talk about this.
I haven't seen this, so I'm looking forward to it, and just for the fact of how much you're looking forward to it.
From what you know, what's the reason why this is in the chamber?
I've just heard it's fucking terrible. That's the only thing I can say. Like, I've watched a few podcasts about it and stuff. It's just, there's nothing good about it, is there?
Well,
I'll have to watch the match and then I can tell you why. But I've not ever heard anyone say one good word about this match.
yeah, there's so many bad things about it. So first of all, you've got that the crowd are so hot for the Fiend. He's just won his match at SummerSlam versus Finn Balor, which put him over as massive. He's then gone into this title feud with Seth Rollins, and a lot of people are like, you don't even need to give the Fiend the title because he's massive without it, so why even bother putting him in that sort of feud? Then you've got the Hell in a Cell match, which, as we all know, you cannot disqualify someone in a Hell in a Cell match.
No, you cannot. No disqualifications.
Seth Rollins hits about, I think it's 12 finishers in this match that don't finish it. He puts him through tables, he hits him with a mallet, and then eventually when he gets a sledgehammer out, he goes to hit the Fiend, and the referee calls off the match. Fuck knows why. Disqualification, I guess. And then after that, you get the Fiend beating up Seth Rollins after the match, which is... I can't even explain it. I just cannot explain it.
Why do they call the match off? Is there no reason given? Or is it a disqualification?
The only explanation to give is that it's a disqualification. It's not like there's an interference. It's not like the fucking roof of the stadium caves in or something and they have to call it off. It's literally because he's hitting him so much that... But when you've hit 12 finishers and smash a shit out of someone with kendo sticks and tables and whatever else, and then he won't go down, and he keeps just trying to beat him up until he can eventually beat him. But what WWE basically had was the worst of 50-50 booking. They didn't want Rollins to lose so quickly to the Fiend because they wanted this feud to go on for an extra couple of months, but also they didn't want the Fiend to lose because then how could they carry on this feud?
A referee can call a match up off because a wrestler's unable to continue, can't they? And that's not a disqualification, but that is why you're in a match like this, so you can beat someone up so bad that they're not able to continue. That's exactly the whole point of it.
How many times have you seen real injuries happen? We saw it in the Jake Atlas match against Adam Cole a couple of weeks ago, where an actual injury happened, and then Cole put him into a knee bar and he had to submit. Yeah. That was the end of it. Or when people, for example, Stone Cold broke his neck and then still pinned Owen Hart when he couldn't fucking hear or barely move. He had to crawl around.
Well, you want to talk about Hell in a Cell? Mate, Mick Foley versus The Undertaker. He was thrown off the cell, badly fucking injured. They were wheeling him out on a stretcher, like in reality, and then he fucking went back and finished the match.
Yeah.
Still. Yeah. They still didn't call the match off, did they? Ring the bell? Like, it's just, oh, fuck knows.
And he went through the ring, and he still didn't call it off. They still managed to pin, even though he was obviously in a very shit state at that moment. They still managed to carry it on and pin it in the ring.
Yeah, it's a Hell in a Cell. That is the whole point of this match. Is one, and you are beaten until you say, oh, I can't take this anymore, or you're pinned. And that's it.
Exactly.
Well, apparently not.
Yeah, it was... the crowd go wild. Oh, man. I'm looking forward to watching it again. When I went back to watch it again just for the podcast, I was kind of like, I haven't had it in me to watch this match again since it happened.
Really?
Just because, like, I've always said, I know wrestling, I understand wrestling, and I like to invest in characters and stuff, but I don't always get worked that much. Now with this had me on my actual like proper Twitter account that's got my name attached to it and all that sort of shit, tweeting WWE, being like, you bastards, you
fuck you WWE, I fucking hate you,
you don't know how to build characters and all this sort of shit. And my brother sent me a text being like, you're well angry about the rest of it, and I was like, right,
you are becoming them people that you mock. You laugh at, you've become that person.
I've become an absolute bellend. So yeah, I was just so angry about it.
It's real to me, god damn it.
I was that guy. Yeah, definitely. yeah, I was worked fully, and it was just like so frustrating, 'cause I was just like, fuck's sake, why have you had to do this? But this is kind of the beginning of the end for The Fiend. I know that they carried on for another year after this or whatever, but it was difficult for him to recover, particularly because they then had him lose to Goldberg a little while later, just because Goldberg got a few likes on a Instagram post or something. But they just slowly killed off Bray Wyatt until it was just not a manageable character anymore. So my trade is psychology, so we often talk about verbalising things to process them as we talk, and I fear for you listeners, as you might have to listen to me processing my inner soul damage that was caused by this match. So if this sounds like a bit of a Weston trying to give me therapy as we go through, then I can only apologise for that. Okay, so talk about the wrestlers. So Bray Wyatt, he started out in FCW, which I don't know a huge amount about, but my understanding is that before there was NXT and before there was, I think OVW was one of the other ones.
I know a little bit about the timeline. So there was Smoky Mountain Wrestling,
yes,
and OVW. Smoky Mountain Wrestling was the first one, I believe. It was a sort of training, like feeder, territory for WWE.
Yeah.
And Smoky Mountain Wrestling, for some reason, went under, they scrapped it, and then they went to Ohio Valley Wrestling. Then I think John Laurinaitis said this isn't working to Vince, and he pitched it that they were going to take over this smaller place that already existed, that was FCW. So they then fucked off OVW as well. I don't know whether it still exists. I don't know how much it has to do with the WWE now, but they started putting all their attention into the Florida territory, and that's how FCW started.
Al Snow owns OVW now.
Does he really? Yeah.
Yeah, and he's apparently a really, really good coach.
He books it as well, doesn't he? I didn't know he did everything. I knew he booked it, but I don't know how much they have to do with the WWE or what's happened to FCW, but I know they had two sort of feeder territories, but I think they scrapped Smoky Mountain and then went with FCW and kept OVW as well.
Yeah. So Bray started in FCW, and my understanding is that his character there was Husky Harris, and Husky Harris then made his move over to the main roster. And I was watching, I think it was Royal Rumble 2012, just in preparation for watching this year's Rumble and trying to get me excited for what ended up being a bit rubbish. But Husky Harris came in, and I was like, that's Husky Harris, this makes sense now. I always wondered who people were talking about, but yeah, he looks so different to the Bray Wyatt character. He looks so young, obviously. And Husky Harris was
clean shaven.
I don't know if he was clean shaven. I think you might be right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was.
Yeah, but of course we know Bray with that big old beard when he was in the Wyatt family and stuff, but Husky was in the Nexus.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, you're right. Well, that was CM Punk's stable, wasn't it?
Yeah. So when a bunch of people came in from old NXT, they came in with the Nexus and ended up kind of, I guess, invading the main roster.
John Cena beat them all, didn't he, in like a 12-1 match or something stupid, wasn't it? Was that what happened?
Yeah, the Nexus apparently got over. I haven't watched that period, obviously. And as I say, same reason I haven't watched loads of Punk matches, but apparently it was a really big deal at the time.
Everything I've heard of, I wasn't watching at the time either, but everything I've heard about it was like, it was a really good storyline. They were all really over, and it was good until John Cena just ruined it. But Bryan Danielson was in there as well. Yeah. There's loads of big names in it, isn't there, when you think about it?
There's a good story about Bryan Danielson. Apparently he came out with the Nexus and started choking one of the ring announcers with a cable, and of course they'd just gone PG at the time, and he went back into the backstage, and Vince was apparently like, you can't be choking people with cables, we've just gone PG. And then apparently a sponsor phoned up Vince and was like, we're not having that. So Bryan got fucking binned for it, he got sacked.
Really?
Yeah.
What, and then they brought him back at a later date? Or
yeah, it was a couple of years later or something.
Fucking hell.
Because he choked someone. But yeah, he wasn't scripted. They kind of like, go out there and beat everyone up. And of course Bryan didn't think about how bad that could have been, but I just thought it was so funny that you fucking choked out some random ring announcer with a cable.
It's fucking crazy, isn't it?
You see that sort of shit all the time now, though. Like, I don't know, I can't get my head around it. Oh well. Bray then was in the Wyatt family gimmick, which
they sent him back to developmental.
Yeah, he went back to NXT, which was like the new type of NXT.
And then he tried a different gimmick for a couple of matches. Do you know? Wyndham. Pretty sure it was Wyndham, and he came out in like a Slipknot mask.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Literally for like 3 matches. There's no televised footage of it, but you can actually find like little snippets. And that was the start of this whole like horror stuff that he does now. And I think the Wyatt family character is based on a horror character, but whoever was teaching Bray Wyatt, whoever was his coach, this was his gimmick, I believe. Very, very similar. This like cult leader, this like southern gentleman cult leader.
Yeah.
And then Bray Wyatt just sort of ran with it and mixed it in a little bit with his whole obsession with horror films and stuff. So yeah, that's where it came from.
Yeah, I read the gimmick for the Wyatt family was from a movie, and it was a Kevin Smith movie called like Red State. It was to do with a family who were like extreme religious cult leaders.
Yeah.
So he came into the newer version of NXT, not 2.0, the black and gold version, with Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, who were like his cult followers, I guess, and really got over, I guess more so when it came over to the main roster. But Luke Harper, who unfortunately passed last year, also known as Brody Lee, or John Huber is his real name, but they put on some incredible trio tag team matches, particularly against the Shield, which obviously features Seth Rollins, who we'll be talking about later. But they as a three were excellent. They were absolutely incredible.
Gimmick. Honestly, I thought it was so good. I think like when you was talking about Bray Wyatt earlier in The Fiend and how he got fucking ruined him, I was just shaking my head. Like, obviously you can't see you because you're listening, but I was just shaking my head, and I just hate it. I hate what they did to him, because they had like the next Undertaker sort of gimmick. What I think about Undertaker's work in the ring and what I think about his gimmick are two very different things, and I think this could have just been timeless. It could have gone on for fucking years and years, and it was brilliant, and they just fucking ruined it.
Similarly to the Undertaker, I don't think that Bray Wyatt is necessarily the best wrestler in the ring. He doesn't do anything fantastical in his moves. He is a very solid worker. You say that you're not overly keen on the Undertaker, but he has a fantastic gimmick, good promo, good just about everything else. When you actually watch his matches, you don't feel completely enthralled by them, with the exception of those few amazing matches that he did later in his career. Much the same with Bray Wyatt, really.
Yeah,
he had some incredible matches in those trios, but in his singles run, like, he did have some good matches, like some that were like better than good, but there was nothing really that made me think that's a 5-star classic. However, his incredible promo work, his amazing character stuff, everything that was around him, his aura, the way that he got hold of the fans and were like, "You are my fireflies," and they were all into it because they were doing like their phone lights in the crowd, trying to get people on board with his cult. Genius stuff, absolute genius stuff.
The thing is, because he was this like supernatural fucking cult leader and whatever he was, and he had magical powers and all that, which is like, I liked it, I really did, even though some people think it's hokey and stupid, whatever, but I liked it. And when you've got this sort of person, you don't need to put the title on him. Well, he doesn't need the title. He's a fucking ghost supernatural man. What does he want with a championship? All he wants to do is hurt people. He doesn't even need to win all the time, because he can then lose a match but cause a lot of damage and kick people in with his other cult members, and then come out and go, "I don't care that I lost because we got you. All I wanted to do was hurt you," sort of thing. Like, it's just so much you could do with this sort of character, and it could have been booked so much better, and they just butchered it, honestly.
It's interesting that you say that about not needing to win all the time, because that was one of the things that kind of made people get a bit frustrated with the Wyatt character. I don't think it was anything to do with Bray himself necessarily, but the fact that everyone was like, "We believe in this character," but he just kept on losing. He kept on finding his way to the top, and then he would lose. Same, he fought against The Undertaker, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Finn Balor, Matt Hardy, Cena, Kane, Jericho, and he did win the odd one, but generally speaking, whenever he got to that main event level, he would lose. And it was kind of like, well, why am I going to keep getting interested in his rise to the top if eventually he's just going to lose every single time? And I think it just turned people off, that Wyatt family cult leader type character.
Oh yeah, I get what you mean, and I do think I maybe worded that wrong, where it's like he doesn't have to win. There, to an extent, of course, you can't have him losing every single feud. But what I mean is, like, he, as that sort of character, probably had a lot more room to lose than a normal sort of character. Do you know? Does that make sense, what I'm saying? But obviously they overdid it, and you're not going to have him losing every single feud. But there's also times where, like, he could say, "Well, I'm not going to wrestle you. I'm going to send Eric Rowan's in to wrestle you, and I'm going to watch from ringside." And, like, there's so much you could do with a character like that.
Definitely, and me saying that wasn't me trying to take down your point or
anything. No, it does make sense though. Of course I do understand, and I did actually watch something the other day that said the same thing, and when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, I didn't mean it so like literally like that, but I just mean that there's so much wiggle room in this character, because he's not just a normal man that just wants to win the title.
Yes,
there's so much more to it.
Yeah, and the same can be said for The Fiend as well, actually. So when Bray got really tired of making his way to the top and finally losing, he played out this new character, which we now know as The Fiend. He went away for a few months. He had a lot of discussions with the WWE board and talking to Vince McMahon and talking to various other people about how they were going to play off this new character. They got Tom Savini. He's like the mask maker for Hollywood.
Yeah.
So it costs a fortune to ask him to create a mask that's going to look realistic and also wrestlable in. But they obviously paid a lot for his consultation.
That's got to be the hard thing about it, is having been able to fucking breathe in it, I suppose.
Yeah.
More than it looking good is the actual being able to run around and breathe and not. It must be fucking horrible.
Exactly. Created this mask for Bray, and eventually he came back as, first of all, Bray Wyatt in the Firefly Funhouse. Have you seen any Firefly Funhouse segments?
I've watched a few of them, yeah, I have, and I think that I do like it. I don't like it as much as I like the Wyatt family, but it is good. It is good. All of the puppets are like pieces of his like past and stuff like that, aren't they? One of them's like Huskus the pig, which is obviously Husky Harris and stuff like that. You know more about this than me. Obviously, I haven't really watched a lot of this era, like the modern era, at all. Have they just forgotten about the Wyatt family? Is it all gone, or is there some sort of homage to that in his Firefly Funhouses and stuff like that? Is it ever mentioned?
Yeah, much like you're saying, is that they had the characters, the puppets in there were homages to all the stuff that he'd done in his time before. And the whole point of the Fiend character was that he was this fun, in America, Mr. Rogers. To me, I guess I'd think about him as kind of Simon from Blue's Clues.
Yeah. That
kind of thing. So he was like this fun guy who was just running like a kids show. And it actually caused WWE quite a lot of problems because YouTube's algorithm just assumed that they were actually kids shows. Fiend segments were going on to children's YouTubers, like up next. So they'd watch a Mr. Rogers thing, and then up next would be him saying all these horrific things and the Fiend mask, and God, that would be terrifying as a 3 or 4 year old, wouldn't it?
It's fucking scary now.
Yeah, so you asked about did they just pretend it didn't happen? So Bray's intentions as the Fiend was to get revenge on all the people that kind of fucked him over on his way to the top. So he wanted to basically get revenge on Cena and Balor and Rollins and The Shield, etc., because he would get to the top, lose to these, and then eventually it made his character look like a total chump. So his character was, I'm going to go and get revenge on all of the people that basically made the Bray Wyatt character not work.
Yeah.
So they didn't just leave it behind at all. They just basically said, I'm angry about the way that Bray Wyatt was treated, and this is me getting my revenge. My inner psyche cannot cope with the idea that I was actually bad. It was people screwing me over.
Yeah.
He had like the heel and hurt tattoos on his fingers, on his gloves rather, and his heel side was this lovable children's presenter who was like, "Don't worry, I forgive you. I'm all cheery and all this sort of thing." And if you want to call it, I guess, like a schizophrenic alter ego of the Fiend who couldn't cope with that and was like, "I forgive you, actually," but the Fiend doesn't.
Yeah.
I just thought it was so clever.
Yeah, it is good. It is brilliant. But so what I meant was like, so. See, like Braun Strowman, he was one of the Wyatt family, wasn't he? So, was there any sort of crossover between him and Braun Strowman, or you used to be with me? And did he do the whole Southern accent anymore? No. The Sister Abigail, because that was the worship sort of thing, or almost.
Yeah.
What is there any mention of that anymore? Or?
He kept the move of the Sister Abigail, and there were little bits of it in the Firefly Funhouse.
Yeah.
And of course, he did fight against Strowman later on in his Fiend.
Did he mention that he was like wanted him to come be his mate again and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, and they did actually, because it was in the time of the Thunderdome era, and of course he didn't have any crowds. They did a cinematic match called a Swamp Match.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
it wasn't really very good. I think you'd be really interested to watch the Cena match. I can't remember.
I was going to say that was good, wasn't it? The Cena, although it wasn't really a match, was it? It was just sort of
a
scary thing, but like it was good. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like almost like it took place in some sort of intra-dimensional thing that it was kind of like what's real, what isn't, and it basically took Cena through his career, suggesting that he got over because he was, loved by Vince McMahon, but none of the fans liked him and all that sort of stuff. Really, really cleverly done. They kind of tried to do the same going through Bray's old career with Strowman, but it just didn't work out. There were a lot of things that didn't work out later on, and I think it's because Bray was like, I've got an idea, this is what I think should happen next, and then it would go through Vince McMahon and he'd go, that's great, but what if we did this? And then Bray would be like, I don't think that works. Vince would be like, well, I'm going with it anyway. And of course, much like anything that goes through the Vince McMahon filter these days, it just ends up falling apart because he can't create these sort of like coherent long-term storylines that I think that Bray wanted to do.
How much of what Wyatt was doing at this time was just fucking creative writing and giving himself, and how much of it was what he wanted to do himself? Like, how much freedom did he have?
I feel like when he first came up with it, I mean, they must have really trusted the gimmick, because otherwise they wouldn't have got this Tom Savini involved. It must have cost a fortune. So I think at the start, in the first, say, 6 months of The Fiend, it wouldn't even been that much, because obviously this wouldn't have happened, because there's been stories that basically Bray said before this match started, That's not going to work. The fans are going to go apeshit. Seth Rollins said the same. Vince said, let it play out.
No, pal, we're going to go with this. It's going to be great, pal.
Vince said, let it play out. It obviously went terribly, hence why we're talking about it. And Seth said that between him and Bray at the end of this match, he wanted to strangle Vince. Seth wanted to put it on Vince, like start a fight with him after this match finished, as he walked through the backstage or past Gorilla or whatever. And that this is something that's come out recently on, I think, Stone Cold's podcast, that Rollins basically said, I wanted to strangle him. And then Bray, who had just been released at the time, said, oh, can you imagine what I wanted to do with him? So Bray hasn't spoken much after his release, unfortunately.
Hasn't said anything, has he?
No, there's been some rumours that he's going to be going into...
Have you not seen his promos?
No.
Wyndham promos.
Don't think so.
There's like a string of promos that he's released on YouTube of all like cryptic, like weird stuff. Have you not seen any of them?
No, I heard that he was thinking of going into Hollywood.
If these are genuine, and they look pretty genuine, because they look like there's been a lot of money put into them and stuff, although you don't see him just talking, it's all like weird, cryptic, fucking horrible, scary messages. And obviously Wyndham was this character that he trialled in FCW. Barry Windham is his dad or his uncle. He's like a third generation superstar.
Yeah.
And they were massive, the Wyndhams. This is his actual name, isn't it? His second name.
His first name's Wyndham.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, his second name is Rotunda, and I believe that his dad is Brother Love. He was IRS.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Brother Love was definitely Bruce Pritchard.
Bray Wyatt's dad was IRS.
Your favourite?
My favourite. Fucking my favourite. I don't even know that he's one of my other favourites. Fucking dad's. Poor form by me. Anyway, yeah, as you say, he is a third generation superstar. His first name's Wyndham. But yeah, interesting that he's doing these promos that I wasn't even aware of.
No, they've been released. I only heard of it literally 2 days ago. They've not been big on Twitter or anything like that. Been released on a weird like comedy channel on YouTube. It's all fucking very weird. And so there's this like comedy channel that does like wrestling videos and stuff that have got a YouTube account, and then they've just started releasing these sort of cryptic, weird Wyndham promos. And then there's been another new like Twitter account or something like that that's been linked to him, which has got the name Wyndham and stuff like that. And it's never going to be as straightforward. If you imagine if you just give him free creative control, do whatever you fucking want, and announce this, your comeback, it's never going to be just like him talking, is it?
Yeah,
it's just a load of fucking weird shit. Well, weird. It's so strange. Like horror movie promos.
I think I would probably love it. I'll be interested to watch that later.
I'll show you them.
The Fiend had massive merchandise sales, even when he was shit, like as in when they absolutely killed it. So he lost this match, and even when he won the title, he then lost to Goldberg. And a load of people basically went from saying, I think that he's brilliant, what a brilliant mind he is and all this sort of thing, and then suddenly it was just like, the Fiend is shit, can't believe anyone likes him. It was almost like people had gone from thinking he was the hottest thing in wrestling, and because it had played out badly by the bookers, that people were almost in denial about the fact they liked him in the first place. But you can tell from the cheers in this crowd that people are mad for it. But once it started going badly, everyone was like, oh, what a shit character, it's stupid, the Fiend is terrible. What do they call it on what culture? Gothic doink.
I just don't like. Fair enough. People went off it as the character went on, and it didn't really work out. But I don't see why anyone would turn around and go, "Oh, it's just fucking shit," because it's not, is it? I think it's a fucking brilliant gimmick.
Yeah,
if done right, but it obviously wasn't. But
exactly, a brilliant gimmick that was turned bad because WWE couldn't write the storylines that it needed. Deep storylines, that's the thing. It needed things to make sense over not just a week, not even just a month, not even like a WrestleMania program. It needed to make sense for years for this to work.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So if you want to compare this to any sort of character, the only things you can sort of compare, give it any similarity to, would be sort of Kane and The Undertaker, wouldn't it? Like these like supernatural sort of... And their characters were built up over fucking years and years and years and years. You're dipping your toes back into storylines that had not gone on for 5 years sometimes, that were not mentioned. And then they would just sort of like, oh, well, this happened, and then they'd roll with it again.
Precisely.
And they just wouldn't give anything that sort of attention these days, would they? Attention to detail. They just wouldn't. They don't care enough.
Exactly. And The Undertaker didn't need the title that many times.
No, of course.
Would he have it 6th?
I'm not sure, but it wasn't many considering how high up the card he was in for so long. And what about Kane? Even less?
1.
1, really? Yeah, that's what I mean.
20 years in the game.
And there was not any stage when he was not right at the top of the card, was there?
Absolutely, exactly. So the Fiend didn't need the title. Why did they put it into this situation? So I don't really know, but that's just what happened, I guess, and it didn't work out.
And the title belt was fucking awful as well, wasn't it? What the fuck was that all about?
Oh, that was howling. That was so bad.
Why did they do that?
I don't know. They wanted to do... Well, I do know, actually. The reason why they did it is because they knew it'd sell.
Yeah.
Exactly. If they're getting £100 a belt or whatever, and people will buy it, then they're a business, so why wouldn't they, I guess? But it's just one of those things that, again, takes you out of wrestling being real and all that stuff. And I get that, you know, he's a supernatural character, so why would you put the belt on him anyway? Why would he care about this piece of gold?
Yeah, that's what I think about it always. It's just like, he's a fucking weird, like, schizophrenic ghost man, so why the fuck does he care about the championship? Like...
Exactly, yeah. It doesn't make a huge amount of sense, but he's going for it, I guess. But yeah, they sold this stupid belt and it made them loads and loads of money. It just looks so bad.
Why did he take the ordinary belt and then his face appeared on it? What was the story of the belt?
There was no story.
He just won the belt and then the next week he come out and it was his face on a championship belt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck you, WWE.
And then I guess the final straw.
I fucking hate you.
The final straw for poor old Bray was that basically he went into WrestleMania. I mean, understandably, when John Huber or Brody Lee died, who was basically his best friend, he went into quite a deep depression. Reportedly, he didn't come out and say that. He was off TV for a little while as Alexa Bliss kind of picked up the Fiend character for a bit.
Oh, well, yeah, what was that all about? Because I've seen stuff on Twitter, but I haven't watched any of that. So, were they together? Were they a tag team? Were they boyfriend and girlfriend? Or was she fucking Sister Abigail? Or what's the story?
I don't think it was anything like that. I think it was more just kind of like the Fiend attacked Alexa and then eventually she became kind of possessed by the character of the Fiend.
Yeah.
And it could have played out interesting stuff, but it didn't. It was just poorly written rubbish again. They had the Alexa's Playground, which was kind of spooky and cool, but there was a couple of bits, like I remember one with Asuka, which just made it it just seems so fucking stupid. Like neither of them knew what they were doing out there, really.
Is she still doing it or not anymore?
She's been off TV for about 3 months, so I wonder if she'll come back and it'll just be gone.
Yeah, they'll just forget it ever happened.
Yeah.
It's fucking, honestly, it's so weird. When I saw it, I thought, oh, they're obviously a tag team. They're obviously mates, or this is the new sort of Wyatt family, is this whole new sort of like Fiend thing. But
yeah,
obviously not.
The funny thing about that was basically that at WrestleMania, the Fiend was fighting Orton, and Orton had already like set him on fire and stuff.
Yeah.
And he came back at WrestleMania, his Fiend mask was back how it was supposed to be in the first place, and then the match went on that Randy was getting beaten the shit out of. Then this box was next to the ring, and the box suddenly opened, and Alexa Bliss was in there, and there was like blood or black stuff pouring down her face.
Viscous fluid.
Yeah, but much like the viscous fluid, Michael Cole goes, "What on earth is that in that box-like structure?" It's a fucking box, Michael.
Box-like structure.
It's a fucking box.
Why does he do that? It's always him. It's like just like he has something. It's like, what is that wooden table-like frame? It's like table. Do you know what I mean? He always does it. Like, why do you not call it a fucking what it is?
I don't know.
It has to be like this, like something. Like he does it in that Punjabi prison match. But they're like bar-like bits of wood in a tube. It's like
you can see it right there.
It's just fucking crazy, mate. Honestly, I just don't. Yeah, I watched a podcast with Orton just only a few days ago. It wasn't the whole podcast, but like a snippet of a shoot interview about this shit with the Fiend, and he fucking hated it.
Yeah,
like he absolutely hated it. And there's stuff like they give him this burn mask, and then he's on TV like 3 days later with no burns on his face anymore and that. And he made the best of it because they're paying him so much money, and he's not going to be able to change the business. But he hated it, and I think from what I gather, that Bray Wyatt didn't like it either. Yeah. Orton stuff. So.
Yeah, his character, they kind of killed him by that point, really. And of course, the box opens, Alexa Bliss in there, there's black stuff thrown down her face, and then Orton pinned him and won. It was weird as fuck, and it was stupid. It's probably as bad as this match, but of course, I think this one's a bit more iconic, and I don't know, feels like something that needs to be talked about more than that one. But yeah, it is also shit. Absolutely deserves to be on.
Is it as bad? It obviously can't be as bad as this.
I think it is.
Really? Fucking hell.
Maybe not. Don't know. Because the crowd kind of they didn't give a fuck about Bray anymore by that point, or at least the Fiend character. And because of that, it's not as big and as terrible as this match. Because everyone was kind of like, well, it's going to be shit, and then it was shit. Because obviously, because the Fiend was always doing shit things by that point.
Do you know what? Like, I can't get my head around now. It's like, yeah, fair enough. The character was not working by this point, clearly, and WWE obviously knew that it wasn't working. Must have known. They're not blind to what the fans think, are they? Mm-hmm. They must know that something's not working. But why do they then continue doing the same thing?
I guess they'd already put in so much money into the character that they couldn't just be like, well, do we just end the character? Because then Bray would have to come up with something completely new again. And I think there was a wish to hold on to it because of the much money it was making.
It was still making loads even when it left, wasn't it?
Oh, even when it was shit, yeah.
So why though? Why was people buying this stuff that they hate?
I don't know, maybe just as collectible.
It's just cool, yeah. Maybe the merch was cool because the face is cool, I suppose. But another thing I was going to say is like they didn't need to completely write the character off altogether, but surely they could have gone right. This ain't working. We're going to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, that's what.
With this character still, but I don't know.
I think Bray had lost faith by that point, and he was kicking up a bit of a storm backstage. I don't know that for sure because WWE say that about all the wrestlers that leave. They're kind of like, oh yeah, they were causing problems backstage because that makes them look good and the wrestlers look bad, and people are just going to believe that shit. But of course, a lot of people on Twitter are just like, I guarantee that in the next couple of days there'll be a story out that says Bray Wyatt was kicking off backstage, and lo and behold, it comes out, and you're like, yeah, nice one. Obviously, we saw this coming because that was why you fired him. But he was, fired independently of a lot of other people. So when they released 10 people at the same time, that wasn't what happened with Bray. He just kind of went on his own, just him. So that makes me think that maybe he was just basically saying, look, we're going back to the drawing board. I'm already feeling shit because my best mate has just passed on, and I don't trust that you're going to make anything good from anything that I give you. So this feels like a big waste of time. What are we going to do about it? And they said, well, I know what we're going to do about it. We're going to sack you off. Yeah.
That was a thing that was said in that thing with Randy Orton. Whoever was talking about this, it was like, well, Randy Orton's coming towards the end of his career now. Obviously, how long? He hasn't got another 10 years left in him. He's closer to the end than he is to the beginning of his career. He's done a lot. He's been at the top for many years. They're probably paying him 7 figures. So he's not going to change fucking sports entertainment, is he? Doesn't want to get sacked. Obviously, why would he? So he will just roll with the punches now. And if they want to take the fucking burn mask off it and he thinks it's shit and they're not going to let him moan about it, then he will just do it now just because. Whereas Bray Wyatt's probably thought, well, I'm not putting up with this, and he's just like continually going, I don't want to do this, until the point comes when they go, no, fuck you.
Yeah.
Whereas Orton just went, alright, whatever.
Exactly. And I think that the problem for Bray is now that his style of love for the wrestling business, his type of character that he wants to impose upon the wrestling business, doesn't fit in AEW.
Yeah.
They don't want a supernatural character, and anyone who says, oh, well, they've just got Danhausen isn't supernatural.
What is he? He's just a clown, is he? Like an evil clown? Or?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, it's very nice, very evil. He's just a silly guy. He's not actually like doing magic and stuff. As far as I'm aware, I haven't watched loads of his matches, but I don't think he's like magic and can survive being burnt alive.
He's got a comic out about him, hasn't he?
I believe so. Yeah.
What is he? Is he like a ghost or something?
Honestly, I don't know.
Just a funny man.
I just find him funny. That's all I know about him, is that he's funny.
Is he actually German?
I don't know. Just likes to put Hausen on the end of things.
Hausen.
Yeah, I wish I had more to give, but I guess I'll be following him in AEW now. But the crowd went wild for him. But I don't think that the Fiend would work in AEW by any stretch at all. And not that they would be able to get the copyrights for it, but I don't think even a similar type. Perhaps the Eater of Worlds or the Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt, could work in there because it's potentially realistic that you could have a cult leader. Would he want to go back to that? Maybe not. But it'd be interesting to know what he's got up his sleeve.
If you watch these new promos, it looks like he's going for something completely different.
More real?
Don't know if more real. It's not. It doesn't look supernatural, but there looks a lot of like murderer-y, devil worship-y, scary sort of stuff, but not like ghosty almost. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like it looks like a fucking horror film.
Yeah.
Because like one of the promos is a woman driving in a car with like blood on her face, and then it's like cut into like a satanic like pentagram sort of fucking woman walking around. So it's very weird. It is scary. It's like uncomfortable watching. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is a bit horrible. Like,
yeah.
So I don't know what that says, but yeah, I can see it being another cult sort of thing. He's obsessed with horror films in real life. I don't know if you knew that. So it's like a lot of the stuff that he takes bits from. He takes inspiration from horror films and stuff like that to make his storylines and that. So I think it'll be good. I really do.
The trouble is, I don't think Impact have necessarily got the money to fund anything to the quality of production nor mask that WWE did, and AEW probably wouldn't want something on that front. I wonder if he will go into, because we all know from his promo and his delivery of lines and all that sort of stuff that he could become an actor.
Yeah, of course.
He could go into the horror films, no problems whatsoever.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be wrestling. I'm pretty sure it's going to be AEW based on what I've seen of these.
I'd watch some Fiend movies in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it'd be good, wouldn't it?
If WWE would sell the rights to a horror film making company and fucking They don't have to sell the rights. They can just say, we take a percentage of the profits or whatever if we give you the character.
Make a WWE film. They make films, don't they?
Exactly. Well, it'll be shit though because they can't write fucking anything, can they?
Does Vince write the films as well? He can't do, surely.
It probably goes under his nose, doesn't it? And he probably tries to change the thing, and everyone's just like,
Fuck's
sake.
Well, I swear I watched one of them and it was good before. It had Stone Cold in it. He just got out of prison.
I don't know.
I'm sure it was... It must have been a WWE film because it had Stone Cold in it as the main character, and he'd just got out of prison, and people just kept trying to test him. He was like the hardest man ever, and he was just trying to be good, but he just couldn't, and he ended up just beating everyone up.
Brilliant.
Yeah. What's not to like about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most recent one I can think of is that New Day one. New Day
with the Undertaker.
That was fun.
Was any good?
Yeah, it was alright actually. Yeah, it was like
funny,
campy, good. Yeah. I think that's all I've got on Wyatt really. Yeah, that was kind of the end of his WWE career. I just hope that he can pick up something still wrestling based, or if not, go into that horror world that's going to work out for him. Just move on to Seth Rollins. I've got a little bit less to say about him because I don't know. I think there's a lot more out there that's already about him. I guess he's still in WWE. He started off in Ring of Honor.
He's fucking brilliant.
And he was called Tyler Black, and well known for that streak through his hair.
Yeah. Mate, he's so fucking good, isn't he? He's actually just so good.
I think that match for match, he's the best wrestler in WWE by quite a distance. I know that we're literally just about to watch a bad Seth Rollins match, but it's not his fault. He doesn't make any botches or gaffes in the match. It's just because the creative was shite. But if you watch his wrestling matches for WWE, never misses. He never misses.
Mate, the ratio of good to bad is very, very... You probably count it on one hand, can't you?
I think this is the only one I can really
think of. And how many hundreds of matches has he been in?
So many.
And when he was the fucking... What was their stable called?
The Shield.
After that, when he was a heel with Triple H and Stephanie and Kane.
Oh, the Corporation?
No, it wasn't the Corporation.
No,
yeah, that's the old one. Oh, it was a new corporation, basically. Anyway, I can't think of the name of it, but he was good in that. It was just ongoing. It was just such a boring angle, but he was still good. Like he's a good heel, and now he's like, what is his gimmick now? He's like wears a big cloak and like, is he still a heel? I don't know, but I haven't watched it. But
yeah. I mean,
but he's so good. This is what I'm getting at. In everything he takes his hand to, it works.
He's like the Joker now. But he started off in Ring of Honor. Was Tyler Black. He came to NXT and became Seth Rollins. He then went into the Shield with John Moxley, then known as Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns. When they came up to the main roster, they actually fought against the Wyatt family in a few absolute stormers that you've got to go and watch.
I like the Shield a lot as well, I think, and I don't particularly like John Moxley that much either, but I think this is good. Yeah,
I'm with you on that front as well. But incredible matches. The Shield got over hugely, and then Seth sold out the Shield and went to Triple H. That was what happened.
What were they called? Is that whole thing?
What with Triple H?
The Authority.
The Authority, that was it, absolutely, yeah. So yeah, the Authority, he sold out Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose for the Authority.
Wasn't they like Triple H's bodyguards to start with, the Shield?
That's a good question. I don't remember that specifically, but that might be the way.
There was some sort of bodyguard, because that's why they used to wear the black suits and stuff, because that was their
It makes sense if that's
gimmick.
why they were called the Shield.
Yeah, I don't know if they were Triple H or something to do. They were some sort of enforcer for someone.
Yeah, no,
that
it does make sense.
That was the whole thing in the first place.
I don't remember, to be honest, but yeah, that would make a lot of sense. Seth went through an enormous amount of different feuds with various people, and one of the big ones was, I want to say like 2018 or something, when because he'd been heel for a long time, obviously sided with Triple H and that stuff. He also took the pedigree off him as well, like picked that up as one of his finishers, and then turned face and went on a long feud with Brock Lesnar. So Brock Lesnar was very much that final boss heel champion, and Seth went on to win the title of him at WrestleMania. I want to say 34, but very welcome for people to tell me to shove that out my ass because it might be wrong. But yeah, really good, and it was a real feel-good moment at that WrestleMania when Seth finally won the title off him. He did have a bit of a wobbly patch in his career there, because he'd been over face or heel. Like, everyone hated him as a heel, everyone loved him as a face. Throughout his time in WWE, he had a bit of a wobble where he went into war with Will Ospreay over stuff on Twitter. Have you heard about this?
No, I haven't, no. When you said that Will Ospreay, I was he wasn't in WWE, was he?
No, he wasn't.
Yeah.
So Rollins basically said on Twitter, WWE are the best wrestling company in the world, there's no doubt about it. We put on bangers every week, and people just want to criticise because they want to criticise, and that's up to them. Ospreay then said, well, I can understand why you'd back your company. However, this is a complete paraphrasing, by the way, I might be wrong, but we had this many brilliant matches on NJPW this week, and Rollins then said something like, if you want to talk numbers, Will, let's talk about you being in the minor leagues, and I'll talk about my bank balance. How about that? And of course, then everyone's just like, what's a cunt?
Yeah, what an absolute cunt, yeah.
Who wants to hear about fucking some millionaire's bank balance when, you know, I'm not saying that I'm in this position, but there's a lot of people out there who can barely rub two fucking pennies together arguing about your bank balance with some guy who's on the other side of the world who's probably also got a relatively large bank balance.
Yeah, I can't imagine that they're badly paid over there in Japan, mate.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it was all a bit embarrassing. It got embarrassing for the company. He was trying to go to bat for them and ended up making them look silly.
What did Ospreay say back in response to that? Was he just sort of like...
Can't remember precisely.
Or did he like not need to say anything then because he'd made himself look like such a fucking idiot?
Yeah, and Seth did eventually come out and apologise. Ospreay didn't look anywhere near as bad as what Rollins did. I don't think he was perfect in it, but at the same time he didn't come out of it looking like a twat. Rollins looked like a twat, and he was obviously supposed to be a babyface at the time, but then you couldn't really take him on as a babyface because you were just like, this is really embarrassing. And this was near the SummerSlam before this happened. So of course then he's got a 4-month run up to Hell in a Cell where he was fighting the Fiend. People weren't really buying him as a babyface anymore because they thought he was a bit of a dick. They weren't sure whether the Fiend was the face or the heel because he was supposed to be a heel, but everyone loved him so much that it didn't really work out that way. So you kind of had this thing where nobody really knew what they wanted going into this match.
Nobody liked either of them or really liked the heel and disliked the babyface sort of thing.
Yeah, it was a bit like that, yeah, definitely. You always got like the accidental double turn in the same way that you got Bret Hart and Stone Cold at Mania 13, You got organic double turn in that one. In this one, it's not really much organic about it. People don't know what they want. They're just terrified that the wrong thing's going to happen, and then it did. But yeah, Rollins has recovered from this because he's then gone heel. I don't think he's gone face at all since this era. He has played a couple of characters. One was like the Monday Night Messiah, where he played like I'm wrestling Jesus, and that was hilarious, I thought.
I've seen some of that stuff. It's fucking good. He seems like someone that's very difficult to like. He seems like a cocky, arrogant prick, and if you are that way inclined to be that type of person, then fucking be a heel because everyone's just going to hate you. There's no point pretending to be a nice guy when you're a fucking prick. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you're going to have more fun being a prick if you're a prick. Anyway. And if that is when he's supposed to be being a babyface, that is what he's going to turn around and say to someone in an argument. And it's just like, well, obviously he is that. Do you know what I mean? So do it, go on, and you'll be good at it. You know, like he's the type of person that should be a heel, I believe. Yeah. Because he comes across like it's difficult to like him.
Yeah, I was listening to JR's podcast the other day, and basically he was saying the same thing. He was like, you're obviously a dick, Seth, so why don't you just be a heel? Just do it. Just stay healed. There's no harm in doing it. I know the company might want something else, but if you're going to be a dick all the time, just be a heel. Yeah. And then he says, I know you're trying to go to the bat for the company, but it didn't work. And he said, if you want to learn about how to get over, why don't you ask your wife? Because obviously Becky Lynch, people going crazy for her at the time, and still now, I guess. But I just thought that was quite a funny statement.
Yeah, definitely.
If you learn how to get over, why don't you ask your girlfriend? I think he said actually. But yeah, still,
it's fucking funny. JR's good, isn't he? He says some funny stuff, but it's like, but it is true what you're saying. Like, if he is that type of guy, which he obviously is, then just be what you are.
Yeah. And now he's this Joker character. He fought against Edge in a 3-match series recently.
Good.
Yeah, the third one was the Hell in a Cell. It was really, really good. There was the first one, I think, was at SummerSlam, and that was really, really good. Just a straight wrestling match. The second one was on a SmackDown when they were trying to have a fight against Rampage, like a kind of create a Friday Night War, really. SmackDown got more viewers, but Rampage ended up with more 18 to 30 or whatever the big 18 to 35 is it, the big demographic. So both sides were claiming they won, but they had a fight on that SmackDown, which was brilliant. It was when SmackDown just went for an absolute hot period last year. Then obviously Reigns was at the height of his heel character that he's still going with at the moment, but it was just so hot then, I guess.
Can you imagine Edge and Seth Rollins having a bad match? It'd be fucking hard to make them have a bad match, them two, wouldn't it?
It was just so good. Especially I feel like the SmackDown one was the best one.
And that was a straight wrestling match, no stipulations as well,
yeah. And then they finally just end up finishing it in the Hell in a Cell, which is also really, really good. But yeah, I feel like when you've already had incredible matches that didn't need weapons, then you throw weapons in, it didn't really add to it for me. But I don't know, it wasn't a bad match by any stretch. A lot of people really rated it, so maybe that's just my taste and not the reality of it.
I was going to say about Seth Rollins, because obviously I haven't closely followed his career really. There's been big periods of his career that I haven't watched that you probably have. He seems to do a lot of stuff that's like dangerous. He seems to like his moves like the buckle bomb and the curb stomp. That was his as well, wasn't it? The stomp. And didn't he do the DDT where he fucking... Was that Randy Orton DDT where he put their legs on the rope and then DDT them?
He has done it at times, but it's not one of his main moves, I would have said.
But he has done that as well. So these are the moves that you watch and you think, yeah, that's fucking dangerous. Or he do like kick people in the head and stuff like that.
Yeah, like the also the, what do they call it? Neville used to do it as well. Neville does it better than him. But it's basically like, it's not a moonsault, it's not a front somersault, it's like a twisting front somersault. I can't remember what they call it, but it's basically like, I don't know, it's like a 360 in the air at the same time as doing a front somersault and a splash. It's fucking incredible. He doesn't do that as much anymore, but yeah.
Is it Whisper in the Wind or something like that?
I'm not sure.
I'm thinking, but anyway, what I'm saying is like a lot of his moveset is like he's always trying to almost suspend your disbelief more by making his moveset look more and more dangerous. Like you watch his moves, you think, fuck me, like that was dangerous, like that would have hurt, like, you know. He's sort of like almost trying to move with the times of trying to keep wrestling believable in what he does, and I quite like that.
Completely agree. So that's the two wrestlers, so I guess it's about time that we move on to our match.
Yeah.
But before that,
I forgot about this.
It's time for our game show.
What have we got today?
What have we got today? You're about to find out. Okay, so
what's that music? Are you playing the piano? Where's that coming from?
I've got some names for the game today.
Okay.
Do you want to hear them?
Yes.
Okay, you can decide on one, yeah?
Yeah.
The first one is Match of the Bray.
I like it. I like that one.
Alright, well, we'll move on then, shall we?
Yeah, we'll stick with that.
You can stick with that?
No. I want to hear the rest.
Oh, I was excited then. Okay, the next one is called Church of Jesus Christ and the Latter Bray Saints.
Say that again.
The Church of Jesus Christ and the Latter Bray Saints.
Oh. How many is there this time? Loads. There's loads. Oh, yeah, I thought there was 7. Oh, is that the answers? Hide them from me if that's the answers.
Oh, don't worry, there's some red herrings in there.
Go on.
Terminator 2, Judgment Bray.
Oh, I'm getting cramp. Oh, bad.
You're right.
Oh, it really hurts. Ah, help me.
What do you need?
I've got cramp. Bad. Ah.
Is this working?
Yes. Oh my god. Oh, that was really bad. Let go. Fuck. I've got such bad cramp tone.
What do you want me to do?
I don't know.
I can't believe this is all good.
Oh, mate, this is hurting. Right, give me a minute, because this is really bad.
Hang on. You're supposed to take these things when you get cramping out.
Salts.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Oh no, these are only vitamin C ones.
Oh, mate, that was really bad. For fuck's sake.
You're right.
Yeah, I'm alright. It's just cramp. Oh, no. Mate, it's so bad. It's still cramping now.
Do you want to go and see if we've got some salts or something?
Oh, what gets rid of cramp?
Okay, we're back after Weston's bout of cramp.
That was really bad. That was fucking never ending, it felt like. It was very painful, it was bad.
It was one of them where I didn't know if I was allowed to laugh or not, but I couldn't stop.
I was laughing as well, though. That was the thing. I was like going, in pain, and then bursting out laughing. It was unwelcome. That was.
So, do you want the rest of the names of the game show?
It was number 2 that caused that cramp, I think.
What, Church of Jesus Christ and the Latter Bray Saints?
Yeah.
So you didn't get to Terminator 2?
Oh no, we did get to that Judgment Bray, yeah.
Okay, well the next one is this. Harold and Kumar escape from Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. To be fair, I think there's a few really good ones in here this week.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, is there any more?
Yeah, there's one more.
Go on.
Wyatt, does it always rain on me?
Different.
Travis, is it because he lied when he was 17?
Oh, right. What one am I going to go with? Like, number 2.
You've got it. Church of Jesus Christ and the Latter Bray Saints. So the aim of the game is this. I'm going to name 8 characters who may or may not have been in the Firefly Funhouse. So as you said earlier, there were some puppets that were in the Firefly Funhouse. Yes. I'd like to tell me which of these you think were in it and which of them weren't.
Okay.
Number 1, Abby the Witch.
Yeah, that was in there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Anything that's given you a reason why that one's in there?
I think I've seen it.
You've seen Abby the Witch?
I think I've seen that one, yeah.
Second one, Rampant Rabbit.
One of them was a rabbit, but I don't think his name was Rampant. I don't think. So I'm going to say no, that was not in there.
Number 3, Donald Trump.
Donald Trump, what? Ex-US President Donald Trump?
Yeah, the puppet. Throw a puppet of Donald Trump.
No.
Okay. Mercy the Buzzard.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Next one, Orville the Duck.
Yeah.
Orville the Duck's in there.
I think so.
Huskus the Pig.
Yeah, old Husky Harris was in there. Wasn't
Vince McMahon, but as a puppet.
he? Yeah.
And the final one, Rocky the Rooster.
Yeah, he was in there.
Okay, so from what I can tell, you have got 6 out of 8 correct. That's 6 Toad points for you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you which one's real. Abby the Witch?
Yeah,
yes,
real.
so Sister Abigail. Rampant Rabbit is incorrect. That's a dildo.
Yeah.
The correct one is Rambling Rabbit. Donald Trump was not in there. He was too busy building a wall against the Mexicans.
Yeah,
Mercy the
right.
Buzzard. Can't remember why that one. Orville the Duck was not in there. He was an old... I can't remember the name of the guy, actually. I'm going to have to show you a picture, though, because your laugh is going to be worth it. Orville the Duck.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Keith Harris was the guy with Orville the Duck.
Rose's brother. He fucking looks like it.
Huskus the Pig, as you said, was Husky Harris. Vince McMahon as a puppet was also...
Vince McMahon.
Yeah, he was already on there. He was... I actually called him the boss on there, and he used to come out and go, "That's good shit!" And it was hilarious. And finally, Rocky the Rooster, you said, was real. It was not real.
No.
Rocky the Rooster is the chicken that comes in and shoots himself out of a cannon on the movie Chicken Run.
Is that him, is it?
It is. Okay, that was the game show then. So, what was the story in the lead up to this match? I'm guessing that you haven't watched too much of.
You're going to have to... this is all on you, Toad.
No worries. So, the story leading up into this match was basically that Seth Rollins had the title. The Fiend Bray Wyatt had a bit of vengeance to take out on Seth because of everything that happened between the Shield and the Wyatt family, which the Wyatt family ended up losing in the end of that feud. So he wanted to take that out on Seth, and he wanted the title as well. Was
there any mention of that in the build-up?
I mean, yeah, there was in some of the stuff, because obviously when you've got the Firefly Funhouse, he's talking about, oh, I know about Seth, he's doing this, and he did this, and I remember the time that he did this. And eventually he's turning, and the Fiend is like, and I'm going to get him for it. But the Firefly Funhouse stuff is like, all you need to do, Seth, is let me in. That was his big thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was actually pretty well done up until this point. But everyone on Twitter was very much like, are they really going to take the title this soon? He had it for a while, but are they really going to take it off him like this early in the feud? Why don't they have some more stuff that's going around it? I mean, but generally speaking, everyone was like, this is absolutely fine because we want the Fiend to win the title. Of course, this was the first match between them. So everyone was a little bit like, I don't know if they're just going to hand it straight over and how this is going to work out. And of course, then they booked it. They did. But there was also a part in it which angered a lot of people, me included, that the Firefly Funhouse seemed to exist as this like extra... It was like it happened in a different dimension, like it didn't actually exist. But Seth Rollins managed to somehow find the Firefly Funhouse and burn it down, literally.
What, he physically burnt down the actual...
He went in and he
studio
set fire to the
Firefly Funhouse.
So it made it look like it was actually a thing.
A real place, when it was supposed to be a figment of...
extra dimensional.
Yeah, Fiend's imagination sort of thing.
Yeah, that was my understanding. So again, already taking down part of the story that the fans thought that was in existence. But yeah, kind of confused the whole thing.
Did they go back to that after? Did he go back to the funhouse?
Yeah, he just carried on as if nothing had happened. But
Yeah.
the idea that one of the characters could go and find the funhouse was just like, I don't know, it just sounds stupid to me. But yeah, that was the majority of the story.
They fucking had a lot of big obsession with burning things and the burning, didn't they? And the Fiend at this point.
Yeah, I wonder if it was just like, I don't know, he has got sort of like a similar colour scheme to Kane as well, and I
Yeah.
guess they wanted to bring that side of things back. That it was like, we can use fire when you can use red lights and all of that sort of
It's
thing.
scary though, isn't it, I suppose. It's
Yeah.
just like, it's a physical embodiment of something that scares people and that you can't control almost.
But yeah, they had already had, I think this was only a Fiend's second match in WWE. They were kind of just holding him back a little bit, which is why, again, it was a bit odd that they put him into the title picture so early, because it only really felt like they could give him the title and then eventually he would lose it. And then, of course, once this sort of supernatural character loses, what is it then? What is it once that's happened? It's a bit tricky, particularly when he's like no-selling every move. How can you have him then lose? And going back to that, it didn't make too much sense.
Is that what he did? No, sir.
Yeah, you'll see in a moment. Yeah, it's every finisher, every move, every...
For fuck's sake.
Yeah, it wasn't good. And I wonder, because he was doing that right from the very beginning, even when that first thing with Finn. So I do wonder if actually that was a problem that Bray might have caused himself. I don't know. It's possible. It's not a definite that this is all of WWE's fault, but that's the build-up. We're going to go and watch the intro package and just tell you what we thought of that, and then we're going to go on to the match. So just before we talk about the intro package, it just reminded me that part of the build-up to this was at Clash of Champions, Seth Rollins defended this title. I can't remember who against right now, but there's quite a high anticipation about whether The Fiend would come out that night at all, because he was such a hot character at the time. And Rollins defended the title. He was literally just walking out to his theme music, and then The Fiend caught him just as he was leaving. And yeah, there was such an amazing horror film aesthetic about it that it just looked absolutely incredible. That was also in this build-up. So Weston, any thoughts about the intro?
Yeah, it looks really well done. You saw the whole Firefly Funhouse segment in that. The only thing I will say is it didn't look like there was much build to this. There was just like one Firefly Funhouse segment, one promo from Rollins, and one attack, and that was it. There was no ongoing.
Yeah. I think in the intro package it reminded me, I think there was actually an interference in a match between Nakamura and Rollins as well. But you're right, that as you say, there doesn't seem to be an enormous amount. It really just felt like WWE went, shit, everyone's buying the merch, everyone's going mad about his character. We need to get him into the title picture as soon as possible, without thinking about what's going to be the long term.
It was Fiend in this package as well. It's just the Fiend mask over and over and over again. Yeah. It wasn't bad, it did look scary, it did look good, but it just didn't seem like there was a very much depth to it.
Yeah.
There wasn't much behind it. Why didn't they use some of the old Bray Wyatt versus the Shield stuff?
It's a good question.
There's so many, so there must be so much of Bray Wyatt talking bad about Seth Rollins and fighting Seth Rollins they could have used in this art package.
Yeah, and I feel like if they wanted to show a bit of the reason why Bray wanted to get revenge on Seth, that would have made a lot of sense, because that's part of the reason why the Fiend exists, is supposedly because he is trying to get vengeance on all the people that wronged him in the past. Why didn't they feed into the intro package at all? I'm not particularly sure, but you're absolutely right about that.
There's so much they could have used in this, so they've just made it look like a shallow, very short feud, when they could have gone, this has been building up for fucking 5 years, which it essentially had.
Exactly, yeah. This could be the end of that massive 5-year run.
Who knows what they were thinking at the time, but it wasn't bad, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it was bad, because it was good. It looked scary, it got you up for the match, you know.
Yeah, I wonder if it's because Hell in a Cell is kind of a secondary pay-per-view. Obviously you've got your big four, Mania, Rumble, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. They're trying to make Crown Jewel also one of the big five supposedly, but I don't know, I can't really find myself back in any of them Saudi Arabia pay-per-views personally.
I just think the whole big 4 and 8 minor pay-per-views has worked fine for
a long time,
for 30 years, so why does it need to change? I can't get my head around it. Just I don't like all these match stipulation pay-per-views, Extreme Rules, TLC, Hell in a Cell. I don't like it.
Yeah, I completely
just fucking do the normal, what it used to be, Vengeance, No Way Out, the Survivor Series, blah blah blah, this, that, Bad Blood, you know, like what was wrong with that?
It's just a fucking name, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
It's like when they had Extreme Rules this year and there was only one hardcore match in the whole show.
Why was it called Extreme Rules?
Fuck knows.
You should have just called it fucking Bad Blood and gone, and the fucking main event is in an Extreme Rules match, and everyone would have gone sick.
Exactly, and they've got loads of iconic names to use as well.
Yes.
I'd love to see a return of Bad Blood.
Or No Mercy or fucking
Armageddon.
Vengeance. There's so many good ones, man. It pisses me off. I fucking
Insurrection.
Yeah, I hate it. I actually hate it so much.
Probably can't use Insurrection anymore since the insurrection of the Capitol building.
Oh yeah.
Probably can't use that one anymore. Thanks a lot, Donald Trump.
Oh, for fuck's sake. But yeah, I just, you know, the names of these pay-per-views, and if they do, there's a big 5 now. It's just, it doesn't even make any sense, because the big 4's once every 3 months. 5 doesn't divide into 12. It just doesn't make any fucking sense. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
if they're going to have a big 6, it would make sense.
Yeah,
but then it's like they're not very big, because
then it's just
watering
6.
down 6 of them. Why don't you just have a big 12? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, then it's just 12 pay-per-views. It's just bullshit, isn't it? It's like, we're going to have a big 5. It's like, so we're going to have one every 2.3 months old. Come on, fucking hell. But it just sums up the whole new era of the stuff that I don't like.
Yeah.
All this Extreme Rules, like Survivor Series, but it's always been that. It's been its self-named pay-per-view, but it's not just a night of 10 Survivor Series matches and the Royal Rumble. There's only one Royal Rumble. Well, women's and men's now, but you know what I mean. I'm not saying there shouldn't be a fucking women's Elimination Chamber, or there shouldn't be a women's Royal Rumble. That's not what I'm saying. If you're going to have both, but that's all there should be.
Just, this is off the top of my head, so it might be a shit thought that I've not really considered well enough, but I feel like anything that builds to something, i.e. the Royal Rumble or the Elimination Chamber, works, as long as that's not the only type of match that's on that card. I feel like that works. So for example, the Royal Rumble is there to build to WrestleMania. Elimination Chamber, it decides either who's going to be the champion or who's going to be the challenger at WrestleMania. When you've got Hell in a Cell, the point of Hell in a Cell was always that it ends a feud. I've fought you in 2 straight singles matches. You know, I lost one, I won one. One was maybe a disqualification or something like that. The only way we can end this is in a no disqualification Hell in a Cell match. This is the only way that we can finish this. When you've just got it as a guaranteed match, it's just kind of like, it means nothing. It means nothing. You can just be like, the first match of this feud is a Hell in a Cell. It's like, well, no, because then when you go to a singles match afterwards, it's going to feel lesser.
The stipulation is the crescendo. That is the end.
Yeah.
That is the big explosion. But you say, like, when you're looking back at the old pay-per-view system, Hell in a Cell was typically at Bad Blood. The first ever Hell in a Cell was at Bad Blood. And then they redone that. Even there's some random ones, like Triple H fought Kevin Nash in Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood. It was like that. You know, that had a reputation. That was when the Hell in a Cell was. Survivor Series was when the Elimination Chambers were at that pay-per-view. You know, so you didn't need to call it fucking Hell in a Cell because you probably had in your head, well, they normally have Hell in a Cell matches at Bad Blood, or a hardcore match would just start the pay-per-view, wouldn't it? Or a Cruiserweight Championship match would be the start of the pay-per-view, and it all worked fine. It worked perfectly fine. You got a few stipulation matches, a few single matches. You sort of knew when you was getting what, and everyone was happy. But apparently, it doesn't work now.
I have heard a rumour that they're not going to be doing that anymore, and I've also been really pleased that WWE are putting pay-per-views on Saturdays. So for all the things that suck about wrestling at the moment, there are some good things. I think they're going to be stopping using things like Hell in a Cell for names of the pay-per-views. Well, they don't call them pay-per-views anymore. Do you know what they call them?
Oh, fuck man, stream fucking per-views. I don't know.
Premium live events.
Why don't they call it pay-per-views anymore?
Because you don't pay per view anymore.
Can you? Oh, what? Can you not? None of these box office anymore then?
You can.
Yeah.
But you can have the network. You can watch it on Peacock. So they don't want to call them pay-per-views because you don't have to pay per view for the majority of the case. You can still buy them for like, I don't know, 20 quid or whatever.
It's a piss take, when you think about it.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I struggle with AEW a little bit, is because I'm just like, oh, I don't really want to pay 25 quid for that or whatever it costs.
Can't you watch it illegally somewhere?
Yeah, and my mate, I said to him, you know, when the next pay-per-view comes around, we'll just split it in half and I'll just watch it on your account. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. So,
do you remember the old sort of piracy is a crime? And the adverts that they used to have, copyright infringement is a crime. It is piracy. They'd have these...
You wouldn't steal a house.
Yes! And they'd have like a pirate in the fucking video. Piracy. You wouldn't steal a house. You wouldn't steal a fucking car. So why would you steal a DVD?
I've seen some really funny mock-ups of them. Just the fucking stupidest things, and they're just like, I don't know, put it in that font or whatever.
You're fucking so funny. So good.
But I would. If I had the opportunity and I wasn't going to get caught, I would steal your house.
Yeah, I was literally just about to say that. I shoplift all the fucking time. All the time. I do it for fun.
I don't even need to.
My bird's always telling me off. Like, why have you stolen that Milky Bar when we've just done £120 worth of shopping in Asda? It's 40p. And
you didn't even need it.
Yeah, I'll just do it just because I'm a sick fuck. Because I get kicks out of it. So yes, I would steal a DVD.
You wouldn't steal a car? Well, actually, I would. So that makes it alright. Just to make it clear, this is not a pro shoplifting podcast.
Yeah, no, I'm only joking. I don't actually do that. Just wanted to sound cool.
Okay, yeah. I think that's all from us on this bit. I think we're just going to go and watch the match, and then we'll come back to you and tell you what we thought of it. Okay, so we just watched the match. Weston, what are your thoughts?
Oh, mate. Oh, God. It's the worst. I think it's probably the worst one we've watched.
You think it's the worst match that we've watched out of all of them?
Mate, I really... I'm lost for words of how fucking bad that is.
Everything was wrong with it.
Yeah. It's probably... I don't know if it's the worst match we've watched, but it's the least entertaining match that we've watched.
I reckon that this is more entertaining than Lesnar Goldberg.
The commentary's better.
Commentary's what in Lesnar Goldberg?
Yeah.
True, but I think there's more stuff happens in this at least. But yeah, it all means nothing.
Yeah.
But I do think that this is better than that for entertainment value at least. But for what it meant for everything, it's like almost on par for the fucking brawl for all.
Yeah, it just means nothing. It's just fucking terrible.
So we start with Seth's music hitting and "Burn It Down" is screamed, and the crowd seem quite for it, don't they? It feels like Rollins is over just for that moment, just for that "Burn It Down." And then after that, it's kind of like, I don't know, they kind of go dead for the rest of his entrance. We've got Jerry the King Lawler on commentary here, which kind of hit me as a bit of a surprise.
I like it. I like Jerry. I like the King.
Yeah, he wasn't on for much longer after this because of obviously he made some comment about udon noodle driver or something about one of the Japanese wrestlers, and that is obviously enough to get you kicked off television these days. So fucking...
fuck's sake, Jerry.
Jerry, you're a knob.
He's stuck in the 70s, isn't he, in Memphis?
But then get the crowd who seems to be quite excited even before the Fiend's music hits. You get the Firefly Funhouse open bit, which is quite cool, and then the lights go out and out comes Bray. The red lights go on, which I can't stand, but we'll get into that in a moment. You get the Let Me In. Bray has the head of his old character with a lantern in it and with the eyes sewed shut.
I like it.
I like that a lot as well. Again,
definitely.
shows all the thought that went into this character for it then to get thrown all away.
He's got a thing about eyes, isn't he? If you look in the Firefly Funhouse, all the eyes are scratched out on the pictures, and then in this one, his eyes are sewed shut, and that he's got a thing about eyes. It's just like horror film stuff in it, I suppose.
Exactly. The match starts quickly. We've got Fiend stalking Seth around the ring. Some high power strikes. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say, like, even when we was watching that match, I was just saying to you, it just seems so fucking soulless. This whole thing. The cells have changed. It's a weird shape. It's fucking red. It's too tall. There's just all fucking everything off. Everything about this is off. There doesn't seem to be as much crowd reaction. The red lights make it seem fucking weird. It all just seems soulless, hollow. It's like watching a film. It's not like watching a wrestling show. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me at all.
Yeah, I think you've said that before about the sort of the newer wrestling stuff. It just doesn't feel like the old stuff that you're very used to. It does feel very polished, and that feels, I guess, kind of off-putting if you'd not been into sort of the newer wrestling much recently. You know, it's interesting also that you say about the crowd. I feel like there was almost like an air of anxiety around the crowd tonight because they didn't really know what they want, or it's still like some people knew 100% what they wanted, and some of the others thought they knew they wanted 100% the other way. So you've got some people who are like, well, Seth Rollins is a babyface, and so I want him to win because the Fiend's a heel. But of course, the Fiend was so over with some of the other fans that they were like, well, we don't want Seth to win, regardless of whether he's a babyface or not, because we want the Fiend to win the title, because we want the Fiend to do well, because he's this amazing creation of Bray Wyatt, who people were always wanted to get behind in the past, but book him meant that they couldn't really. And it just left the crowd in this state of the Fiend wins or we riot. But of course they've played the story as if Seth is going to be sympathetic babyface, but it doesn't work because not enough people wanted him to win.
As you watch this match unfold, like, Seth's at points like crawling around the ring, like doing the whole I'm helpless, feel sorry for me, I'm going to get this then big comeback and everyone's going to go mad because, you know, everyone loves me, everyone's worried about me, but no one's worried about him, no one cares, it's just fucking, I don't know, I fucking hated this so bad, man. Honestly, it was horrible. Like, it was just fucking shit. It was.
Yeah, Seth's not exactly known, especially considering that those tweets we were talking about earlier, he's not exactly known for his self-awareness, so he might not even realise that the crowd were going to go crazy about this when he was starting to win. Yeah, the crowd were angry when he started to win. But yeah, just to run through sort of a bit of a play-by-play, the match starts quickly. Fiend stalking Seth around the ring. You've got some high-power strikes. Seth starts to realise he needs to use weapons if he's going to be able to take him down. The crowd are screaming "Yowie Wowie," which is one of the Fiend's catchphrases that he used in the Firefly Funhouse. Seth hits him with a kendo stick a couple of times, and Bray no-sells it completely. What were your thoughts about the no-selling in this match?
Mate, it's fucking stupid. It just makes the whole of professional wrestling just look like fucking shit. That's what it does. It doesn't do any good for anyone. It doesn't make the Fiend look good. It doesn't make Seth Rollins look scared, or it doesn't make the Fiend look scary. It doesn't make anything you watch after this then look good, or anything before. It shows I've just smashed this bloke in the head with a sledgehammer. He is not moved one bit. He's not even wobbled. So it is not real what I have just done. That's all it says. Ridiculous, honestly.
Exactly. It's one step beyond the peak behind the scenes, isn't it? It's like wrestling isn't real because he can do all these things and this guy can just get up, and that doesn't, to me, sell the Fiend. It just undersells every piece of wrestling that you've ever watched. It's kind of like, well, if they expect the moves to at least cause some bit of pain, that yes, they're saying that it feels like a 9 out of 10 when they take the pedigree, but you expect it actually feels like a bit of a 4 out of 10, because how could you not be hurt when your face is being slammed into wood?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
With this, it was kind of like, none of it hurts at all, does it? It's all just a fucking...
It's just a shit
sham.
There's nothing that the whole no-selling, all this business works. There's no... This weapon stuff, it doesn't do any good for anyone. So, say, like, who's your favourite ever wrestler?
Oh, there's so many. Oh, we're probably Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Alright, Stone Cold Steve Austin. If you hit him in the head with a sledgehammer, would he move? Yeah, but The Fiend doesn't. So your favourite wrestler's now shit. Or The Fiend's not real, which means your wrestler's not real either.
And Seth Rollins beats Brock Lesnar with the stomp, but The Fiend gets stomped 12 times in the match and still doesn't technically lose.
So who's harder?
So that means that The Fiend is 12 times harder than Brock Lesnar.
Fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. It just makes the whole thing so outrageous. The Fiend dominates the next few minutes and throws Seth into the cell a few times, then screams into the camera. He goes, "Get the hell away!" Which I had to laugh a little bit about. I thought that was quite funny. Seth hits him with the steps a couple of times and then gets a table. We then get my commentary of the night. And I didn't actually point this out to you, Weston, but it is funny. Cole gets very mixed up in his words and he goes, "Seth Rollins knows what it's like to be in the Hell in a Cell. He's done it 3 times, but never against any opponent like the Fiend Bray Wyatt, who rises from the ashes, and Seth Rollins sights his set on the challenger. Rollins looking to fry once again." It makes no sense whatsoever. It's like he's basically just lobbed letters R in front of all of his where they should be L's. He says sights his set when he means sets his sights. And Seth Rollins fries out of the ring apparently.
Honestly,
I thought that Cole would move past this shit, but apparently
no, he hasn't. Do you think he'll ever get past this?
I always thought that when I hear him now, I feel like it's quite a professional presentation because he's like the top commentator. I didn't realise this stuff still happened, and I listened to this and I was like, oh shit, this still does.
He's always got a disposition to do this. I think he will always revert back to this. No matter how good he gets, he will always revert back to this.
It's not as bad as his Punjabi prison one match. That's the fucking worst commentary we've heard on this podcast. I think about it sometimes. It's just so funny.
It's fucking crazy.
Fiend then goes to put Rollins through a table with a Uranagi, but Rollins kicks him onto the table. Rollins then frog splashes the Fiend from the top rope. What happened?
He fucking falls flat on his face. He overshoots a little bit, doesn't he? And to be fair, the table does break.
Yeah.
So he goes through the table, but then he falls straight on his face. It looks pretty dangerous.
Yeah. He just overshot it a little bit. Because his legs then hit the Fiend on the table, his body starts rotating forward, and it's like he could have so easily landed on his head, his neck or whatever. He does land awkwardly on his arm. The rest straight over, like, you're right. But yeah, it could have been so much worse than it was. Rollins does get up and carries on fine beyond this, but yeah, it did look quite bad. We then get Rollins hitting the first of his finishers. And we get a stomp onto the Fiend in the middle of the ring, and Fiend completely no-sells it. He gets up, Rollins goes for a second, Fiend reverses it into his sister Abigail, and then the Fiend done his like break the neck spot, which I think is quite cool. It really worked in that match against Finn Balor, where the Fiend really started to get over to his absolute heights. What did you think of that?
Looks like a believable move. Doesn't look too bad in amongst this fucking match. It's nonsense though, isn't it? But yeah, I think if that's the finish there, he's just Sister Abigail'd him and Seth Rollins kicked out, and then he gets up and then bang does that weird like super fucking neck break move, whatever you want to call it, and then pins him 1, 2, 3, and then it's just like, whoa, he's a fucking serious scary geezer.
Exactly.
So if that had been it, then that would have been fucking fine and
it
perfect.
Would have been fine, yeah. It wouldn't have been...
Wouldn't have been on here.
Wouldn't have been a 5-star, but it certainly wouldn't have been on this podcast. Fiend then goes and finds his big silly hammer, and Weston, when he saw it, he went, "What the fuck is that?"
It looks like something like the Looney Tunes. Also, it really, really genuinely does. It's fucking. I think it's supposed to now.
Yeah.
When thinking about it, because you did say, "Oh yeah, like it's supposed to be ridiculous," and that does make sense because he's the Firefly Funhouse man and that. But
yeah, it looks like it's like fucking cow coloured.
Be the Firefly Funhouse man in that. You can't then be that man whacking people with this fucking. So then what? Are you not real anymore? Is this imaginary? I don't get it. Like, there's too much crossover with that fucking stupid hammer between imaginary and not. Like, oh, fuck knows.
Yeah, it doesn't add up, does it?
No. It looks like something a dwarf would wield in fucking Lord of the Rings.
An orc? No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's like an actual weapon, a dwarven hammer.
I've never really been into Lord of the Rings so much, but
I've got fantasy stuff.
I'd like to see a dwarven hammer sometime.
Fucking better than this nonsense.
Oh, it has to be. Yeah, it has to be. Everything's better than this. Fiend rams the hammer into Rollins' chest and he starts making the funniest noises. He starts going,
and on commentary they say he has impaled him.
He's impaled him.
But it's a flat surface. You can't impale someone with something flat. It's the opposite.
If you could, it would be quite impressive.
You'd have to fucking hit someone hard, wouldn't you, to impale someone with a flat surface? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but the thing that made me crack up was I went to Budapest Zoo last week and the tiger looked a little bit sad and he was making these roaring sounds. It was like, and that's what fucking Seth Rollins sounded like when he was in.
It sounds like a fucking orca whale or whatever it's called.
Yeah, it was fucking. He sounds so funny. Seth then does a stomp on the Fiend onto the mallet. He then gets him back in the ring. Rollins does a couple of flying knees to the head off the top rope. Fiend doesn't really sell those. And then we get the absolute insanity of this match. We get 7 stomps, a pedigree, then another stomp, and the Fiend kicks out at 1.
I'm shaking my head again to everyone, just to let you know.
Yeah, we've already said it. It's stupid. We then get 3 more stomps and the crowd start going wild. I mean, they were just booing hard. And I don't know if they believed in Seth Rollins, the babyface, so much they were just like, no, they won't boo when he's winning. But they wanted the Fiend to win. And it just shows that the WWE just didn't realise, or did realise and didn't understand, that the Fiend was more over than Seth was. It couldn't have worked. It couldn't have worked. Everyone was just so mad about it.
I've got nothing really to say about it. It's just, mate, it's just horrible to watch.
Seth hits him with a chair on the head, which looked quite cool. Another kick out at 1. Ladder on top of a chair into the head, kick out at 2. Seth starts looking around the ring and finds a toolbox. He then slams the toolbox
into the ladder, into the chair on top of the head.
He doesn't even try to pin him after this. He carries on looking around the ring for what he can use, and he gets a sledgehammer. The ref starts arguing with him and says, "Think about what you're doing. Is that who you are?" Seth thinks about it for a little while.
He cries at this point, doesn't he?
He starts crying. Is that who I am? He's thinking. Am I the guy who hits people over the head with sledgehammers?
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am. He hits one.
The sledgehammer into the toolbox, into the ladder, into the chair, into his head.
It's like the old lady who swallowed a fly.
There was a young man who lies in the ring. I don't know why he lies in the ring. He lied in the ring to get the chair. He lied on the chair to get the ladder. He lied on the ladder to get...
Perhaps he'll die.
Oh, God.
Fuck's sake. Yeah, that's what... Yeah, and then the referee...
Oh, fucking hell.
There once was a man, his name was Seth. He tried to put the Fiend to death. Thank God for the ref. There once was a man hit the Fiend with a chair. The ref got concerned about his welfare. He used the chair to put him to death. Oh my God, this match was a mess. Thank God for the ref. There once was a man hit the Fiend with a ladder, and then the crowd got madder and madder. He put the ladder on top of the chair. The ref got concerned about his welfare. He used the chair to put him to death. Oh my God, this match was a mess. Thank God for the ref. What was a man hit the Fiend with a toolbox? What a load of fucking bollocks. He put the toolbox on top of the ladder, put the ladder on top of the chair. The ref got concerned about his welfare. He used the chair to put him to death. Oh my God, this match was a mess. Thank God for the ref. There once was a man hit the Fiend with a hammer. He wanted a spike to put Vince McMahon on. He hit the hammer on top of the toolbox. He hit the toolbox on top of the ladder. He hit the ladder on top of the chair. The ref got concerned about his welfare. He used the chair to put him to death. Oh my God, this match was a mess. Thank God for the ref. And after all this, he showed no remorse. The ref fucking stopped it, of course.
He lies in the ring and the ref calls off the match. In a Hell in a Cell, in a no disqualification, he calls off the match because he hit him over the head with a sledgehammer, on a toolbox, on a chair, on a ladder.
I think that would soften the blow.
Yeah, it's a fair point, actually.
Quite significantly.
It spreads the weight
Yeah.
of it.
By the point it hit the ladder, I don't think you'd feel really anything at all.
No, because that's how they work it.
Fucking little shit this is.
I feel like we're a bit speechless about it.
Honestly, I am really. I really haven't got much to say about it. It's just so bad. It just doesn't make any fucking sense. It's just all fucking shit. The crowd starts shouting bullshit, understandably, and the paramedics then stream in. Seth gets over the top of the Fiend. He then sinks the mandible claw in on Seth. His sister Abigail's him twice on the outside. The crowd starts shouting, "Restart the match! Restart the match!" I'm so glad they didn't restart the match.
Well, at least you might have got some sort of ending.
Yeah, I suppose, could it have got any worse than this? Maybe.
I think it did get worse than this, because he then Sister Abigail's him twice onto the concrete, and then he gives him a mandible claw, and Seth starts vomiting blood. Which, I don't know, if there was a decent ending to this match and it wasn't so fucking ridiculous, then I don't think that would have looked that bad. But when you look at it in the context of this match, you're just like, oh, this is so hokey. It's so rubbish.
Yeah, it's supposed to be he's supposed to be some fucking horror film murderer.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Not in this context though, it's just fucking stupid.
Not after this stupid match.
Yeah.
Terrible. Fucking terrible. They don't restart the match, obviously, and he's vomiting blood, and then the lights all go out, and he goes up to the top, and then you see him at the top of the ramp, and then that was the end of the match.
I've seen Mick Foley fucking mandible claw people fucking non-stop for fucking 20 years. He's never reduced blood from someone's mouth. Doesn't do that. He had a white sock on his hand. You would see the blood if he was making people bleed from the mouth.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a choking thing, isn't it?
Of course it is. Yeah, it doesn't make any fucking sense. You hold the tongue down and then put your fingers in there. It's like a choke. Makes them pass out. There's no blood.
Yeah. Like I say, I didn't mind the blood in the right context. I don't know, that could have made him look even more of a killer. But they've just made the whole thing look stupid because they've just done this whole fucking 20-minute no-sell rubbish. Yeah, not a single thing of this made any sense whatsoever.
Bullshit.
Yeah, but the crowd was so angry. The crowd were just so angry, and I don't blame them, because I was then angry online, shouting at WWE, telling them to stop ruining my favourite things.
Like, imagine if you paid for this, fucking $100 a ticket or some shit. Imagine if you just fucking if you weren't very well off, just a normal bloke on a fucking building site, and it's your son's birthday, and you go, right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I used to like wrestling. I'm going to take you to see Hell in a Cell. It's in town. Boom. Pay the fucking money for the ticket. Spent your hard-earned cash, half your week's wages on this. You skimp for the rest of the week. But you used to like wrestling. Your son likes wrestling. You think this is going to be fucking great. And you get there and this is the fucking main event.
Sickening.
It's disgusting. It's actually out of order. It's fucking piracy.
Scumbags. You wouldn't steal a wrestling ticket.
It's fucking piracy. Oh.
Okay, so Weston, tell me, what is your reverse Meltzer review for this match, with 0 being passable and -5 being absolutely crap?
-5. No doubt in my mind, -5.
I'm 100% with you on this one. We normally have a bit of a debate about it, but I can't see any way in the world that this cannot be a -5. There's nothing good about it.
There's nothing good about this. It damages the whole fucking business. It makes every single thing that's come before it and after it look fucking shit. It makes wrestling look fucking stupid. It's just fucking bullshit.
It destroyed 2 characters.
Yeah, it destroys
Rollins
the characters.
He wasn't the same for a long time after this. He'd already done his own bit to basically destroy his own character with Twitter. But yeah, the Fiend barely recovered. No, he won the title at the next match, and I kind of did pop a little bit about it, but I don't know, I still already felt kind of angry about what had happened here, and then he fucking lost it to Goldberg anyway, so it just kind of set off the start of the Fiend hate. It was kind of like, oh, I didn't believe in that at any point, just because people were just so ashamed that they were just so into something. I'm probably just projecting my own feelings onto other people, but this is the impression I got with the Twitterverse, at least. So into the Fiend. We're so into the Fiend. And this was the beginning of the end of that thing that we loved for 6 months. If that.
Right, it's a horror show, mate. This is a fucking horror show.
They wanted a horror show, but they got the wrong type of horror show.
Yeah, definitely. This is absolutely awful.
So -5, and if anyone wants to argue against that, then you're wrong. But keep listening to the podcast,
it's
please.
so deep into -5 territory. It's not even like a -5.1.
when Meltzer broke the scale and started giving
-7 and stuff,
like 6s and 7s and 5.5. It feels like I kind of want to do that today. That's how fucking annoying this match was. I hated it.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Okay, so we're going to move on to our comments, and we've got a few for this one, which I think hopefully says a little bit about, one, where our podcast is going, and two, the significance of this match as a broadly hated thing. Oh, that was one thing that was funny about this. Brazzers, the famed
the
porn site, they tweeted after this match saying, "Hey WWE, let us know if you need advice on how to craft logical and coherent storylines with satisfying finishes. #HIAC." Now, if a porn site thinks they can write more coherent storylines than your company who actually writes storylines, you're in trouble, because I've seen a lot of terrible porn films like where the fucking, I don't know, someone gets pushed in a washing machine and then the plumber comes and gives her one because she had to phone up the plumber. Like, who gets stuck in a washing machine? No one gets stuck in a...
No one does.
But that was a better storyline than this.
Yeah, much better. Far better.
The amount of pool cleaners that have come along and then they're just extremely buff, attractive men ready to have sex with the woman sat around the pool.
And that is better than this.
It is. Anyway, on to the comments before I get on a high horse about porn. It's the last thing I need for my professional career. So, Nicky Lewis at Eagle176, second comment on the podcast. Thanks, Nicky. He says, "It was the death of the Fiend. It should have been a no contest." So, I mean, to an extent it was a no contest, because I guess that's what it was called, as a draw.
Yeah, it wasn't a disqualification, was it?
But, yeah, he was right that it was the start of the death of the Fiend. Goldberg, I think, was the final nail in the coffin, but yes, this certainly was the start of the death. And Nicky is actually one of those people, because I asked him a follow-up question, were you a fan of the Fiend before this abomination took place? And he said, "I'm not even sure in hindsight, but it was at least unique and different at the time." So, yeah, I guess there's sort of that uncertainty. Maybe, again, I'm projecting that upon him, but did he like it before this happened, and then suddenly it became so entrenched in all of us to go, I never liked that in the first place?
It's just like tricked you into thinking that you never really liked it because it was so fucking bad at the end.
Yeah, because, I don't know.
Was it even good?
There's something about the betrayal of it all that you don't want to say. And I'm not saying this is true for Nicky because he hasn't said this directly, but this is how I felt, is that we almost didn't want to carry on saying, "Oh, I really like that," because you feel like you've been duped. You feel like you've been tricked. Like, because if you say, "Oh, I loved the Fiend," and everyone else is saying it's shit, it's the fucking stupidest thing that ever existed, then you're going to feel silly about liking it ever, and then you're going to go, "Oh, it was never good," because you just don't want to admit that you liked it because it has become so shit. Of course. But yeah, Nicky hasn't said that directly, but I don't know, that's what I feel a lot of people maybe have done at this stage. Awesome Alfie 27, that's also at Awesome Alfie 27, has said, "Dreadful to watch, but I couldn't stop laughing at the ending."
I didn't see the funny side of it. It just upset me.
Weston couldn't even laugh at it.
No.
I did burst out laughing a couple of times at the no sell-in when we were watching it together. I didn't laugh at it when it first happened, but yeah, it was almost funny. The comedy of the crap, just, yeah, you're absolutely right. The ending, particularly when he then ended up at the top of the ramp, and you could tell the crowd were just like, "Please don't come back. We've had enough of you all. Please just fuck off so I can get out of this stadium." It was funny, but almost you couldn't even laugh.
I didn't even get. This is just so bad. It's really. I feel deeply affected by this. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to be able to watch wrestling tonight now. After this, fucking watch football zone.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. And then our final comment for this week is, I don't know how to pronounce this, so I'm probably just going to spell it out. At Govedarica, at Govedarica, also known as Five Nights at Govedarica's.
Govedarcia?
Perhaps.
Whatever your name is.
The match was going to be a disaster right after the red lights appeared. And I have to agree with that too. Weston, you were sick of the red Hell in a Cell, weren't you?
Oh yeah, I don't like it. I don't like any of it. It's just fucking... Why is it red? It doesn't need to be red. It's a cell. It should be... It's made of metal. It should be silver.
Yeah, and I wonder if that made it harder for the people in the crowd to see through it as well. They always go with the red cell, by the way, now.
Why?
Don't know.
Why is it so tall as well? That's what we were saying.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. Like,
is it so people don't climb up it?
Well, the thing is that it's got like the hand holes in it now.
Yeah.
Because To say it was really hard to climb those things, whereas now they've got like hand and foot holes, so you can go up the top. That felt like an awful long way to fall onto the ring if that was
massive. And it looked like there was less space between the apron and the cage wall as well. I don't know. The red lights are fucking awful. You like it when Finn Balor does his red light thing, though, don't you?
I don't mind. I used to like
the
the demon. Yeah, I mean, obviously I've gone off it a little bit over time, especially ever since they've done that stupid fucking the rope break thing. That was stupid as fuck.
Oh yeah, when he fell off the top rope.
They didn't even play it out into a story or nothing. Absolutely ridiculous. Fucking terrible booking, you fucking knob ends. Anyway.
Looks like this. Sounds like this.
Yeah, it was a little bit like that. Yeah. It was basically just throwing piss into the face of your fans. Again, same for this. But yeah, the red light when you've got like the demon coming in, but then they don't then have a red light for the whole of the match. It's just... Oh,
so it's not like this then?
No, I mean, if you're talking about the bit when the actual rope broke, they were doing this bit where it was like the music had brought him back to life.
Yeah.
So when the rope actually broke, it was under the red light. But generally speaking, they are normal matches, are not under the red light. The Fiend's matches, for the vast majority of them, were all under a red light, and it looked shit. It's
supposed to be like, oh, this is a nightmare now.
Yeah.
It's a fucking nightmare, but not because of the scary kind of nightmare. It's a nightmare because I fucking don't want to watch it.
Yeah, 'cause it's just poor.
It is a nightmare. It's a nightmare of a match. Oh, God.
Yeah, I just hated those lights. It was another thing that made me think, oh, I don't really care for watching just so much anymore.
No way.
But it was like every wrong step they could have taken, they did. And same for this match, same for pretty much everything that happened to The Fiend after this point. Yeah. And, well, from this point, including this.
Fucking rubbish, mate. Rubbish.
Really rubbish. Okay, so that was The Fiend versus Seth Rollins.
Oh, it's so bad.
At Hell in a Cell 2019. Please let us know what you thought about this match, and also let us know what you think about the matches that we've got coming up. I think this was the end of our little run, was it? We've still got Jerry Lawler versus...
Oh yeah, Michael Cole. How could we forget?
Yep. That's actually more interesting to talk about than this one, I think.
Definitely. Mike actually watched that the other day.
Did you?
Yeah.
Why?
I'm not going to... Because I wanted to see what the fuss was about. I can see what the fuss was about. I don't want to talk about it now, but we're going to have a lot better time talking about that than we did talking about this.
Definitely. Cole's uniform in that one is the absolute best. Don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, all of you Apple listeners out there. I know a lot of you are doing it already. We don't have lots of ratings, but the vast majority of them are 5 stars, so we really appreciate your reviews.
I noticed that we had a few 5-star ratings. I was thinking, oh, geez, it's good. I liked it. One of them was me. I don't tell anyone that.
Don't tell any listeners about that.
Sorry about that.
I've just been stealing people's phones, putting 5-star reviews on them, and then giving them the phone back because I'm a nice person.
Oh, you've been giving it back?
You wouldn't steal a phone.
I was just about to say they took the words right out of my mouth. You wouldn't steal a rating.
Or maybe I would.
Give us a 5-star rating on Podbean, Apple Music, wherever you consume your podcast, because it means that more people get to see and hear our things.
You can find us on Twitter at crap_wrestling. That's crap_wrestling. I've been Matt Burgess.
I've been Weston Hughes.
Thank you for listening. Please come back soon for more crap wrestling and even more crap podcasting.
It's like with this match, it's like so depressing. Mercifully,
it's over. I hate that so much.
The Badass Leader's here! Champion Angel!
He's also suffering from anal bleeding.
What?
Is this match still going on? The dog poop! All right, Bubba, hit a dog poop!
Mercifully, it's over.